And we're back as we rejoin and see 0-2 Cool take 4th place off Pantry Star. Looks like Nick Gishin getting closer. My apologies, of course, for the issue we've had on the stream. I'm not quite sure where Martin is relative. I'm not seeing Martin. There we go. Finally, we get him back on track, and we're underway. So Nick Gishin, 6/10 of a second. That's within range of being able to pounce on the driver in front with the use of DRS and slipstream as he closes to within 3/10, 2/10. Shapes into the mirrors, might be waiting for the next opportunity. Looks like Avalak on his own at the moment, just lapping another car, and we saw 0-2 Cool just overtake Pantry Star for 4th place. So what can Nick do? Looks like Martin spending that ERS to get away from the turn 3 exit very wisely, and through we go. My gratitude to Matrav for giving me the invite back again. Unfortunately, it didn't work. I had to go back to one of my old ones. Avalak usually gives me plenty of invites to get going, but thankfully one of those ones worked. I really cannot express to you the frustration of this game causing these crashes. That was an unusual one for me. It looked like it was going to be a full system shutdown at one point. But anyway, Nick Gishin, 5/10 of a second behind Martin as they challenge for the lead of the race. It's lap 9 of 36 so far. I think we've only had the one pit stop. That was Uzi shedding those soft tyres. He's down to 14th with a 5-second gap of clear air in front of him on new mediums. And let's see what he can do. I think Brad has also pitted. I don't think that was scheduled. I think that might have been damage caused, but he has pitted early. He was one of our other drivers there on the soft tyres. Here comes Nick then challenging, but again, Martin not even ready to defend. And yeah, AP Mark, I did just catch that. Yes, thank you. Just to say that Umer was tapped in the rear by the Alpha Tauri, so it could have been potentially that Brad was at fault and suffered some damage. Maybe they both have a bit of damage. Umer's progress currently P7 on the hard tyres, only a second behind Arno, and closing in pretty quickly. Nick Gishin cannot seem to get close to Martin. See what those setups look like, but it looks like Nick just either equal or less miles an hour. Or do you use kilometres now? I think you use kilometres in South Africa, right? Yes, just a few clicks slower down the straight, it seems, or at least getting away from the final corner here. It is the closest battle on the field. It alternates between Umer and Arno, but we'll see them all come down this start-finish straight and see who is within a shout on the way into turn 1. Well, currently Nick Gishin, and now the defence starts from Martin. He tries to dissuade a move, and it's Arno v Umer who is that little bit closer. What kind of top speed can Umer get out of the McLaren versus the Alfa Romeo? Gets the inside line. He's slightly behind. Stamps on the brakes on the hard tyres. The Alfa Romeo is still there on the inside, but it looks like Umer is smoothly through turn 3 and away. And beautifully done. Can afford to stretch away slightly. Nick Gishin didn't get it done into turn 4 either, but it was Umer up to P6 now and climbing back up the field as we stare for no reason at all at the wrong part of the track. Thank you very much. Camera work. There we go. So Umer just a quarter of a second away, but there's no way of going side by side through the S's, and that will help to open up the gap slightly for the McLaren driver. With the big fan club here, Hashim, 3-second penalty, gets the second penalties of the evening next to Top Gun. I'm going to go ahead and assume that Top Gun hasn't got any more just yet. I haven't seen it, but of course I've had some missing airtime so far. Lap 12 of 36, 1/3 distance. We should start to see medium tyres fading within the next, I would say. Well, I think they can go to half distance, the mediums, relatively comfortably, but it's just about which tyre you want to use next, and whether you're trying to stretch for a soft at the end or use the hards. But the hards really are pretty poor around here, so I think drivers will perhaps try to do without them. can use them quite aggressively, as the drivers are from the start of the race here. If using them on full tanks of fuel, you might be able to generate enough temperature to see some lap time, but frankly, it's medium and soft all the way, this racetrack. No change, and the battle for 6th, led by Umer, Arnaud, and then followed by Hashim. And we see Jacques and Boutier some distance off the pace still at the back of the grid, 14th and 15th. Uzi has closed the gap by only about 0.4 of a second, as Hashim just gets a little bit of power oversteer on the way out of the S's and loses all that track progress he had coming up to the back of Arnaud. Nick still 3/4 of a second. That's way too far away to be challenging, and it looks like Martin trying to manage that gap. He's derating. What news of the ERS on board Nick Gishen? Not a lot more, frankly. Only about 10% more, but Nick will see the flashing light on the back of Martin's car and know that there is a potential weakness on the car later on in the race. Maybe he doesn't really want to be in front at this point. Maybe it's better for fuel economy to stay behind. But he was certainly moving around. Oh, a big mistake from Martin. Martin gets out of turn 5 a little bit squirrely. Completely wrongly placed the car. Whether he lost a little bit of focus or just a slip on the grip profile of the tyre. It's lap 12 on the tyre, so might be starting to see some issues. Depends how hard he's been pushing, but that does bring Nick right into contention as they go into the stadium. Nick won't be able to make a move here, but he will start the next lap closer. But see the gap stretch out again, out to 0.6 before they head out of the Pelotara. It's nearly 0.7 again now, as DRS is open for Nick, and the gap starts to drop down to 0.3 now. Nearly 2. Will he have a go here into turn 1? He's down the inside. Martin sweeps around the outside, tries to hang on here. He's stuck on the outside of the corner on the way out of this one, but he just about gets the grip profile on the edge of the track and stays ahead. That was very close, but professional driving from both of them. This is now allowing Avalak to close in, and he gets closer and closer. What about Pantry Star though on 0-2? Any chance of a move? There's a little bit too far away at this stage. Likewise, I'm assuming Arnaud and Umer. It's a bit of a mouthful, some of the drivers at the moment, as you string their names together. Still very tight at the top here, half a second separating them after 14 laps, and we will be seeing the first pit stop soon. The medium runners who plan to go on the hard tyres, the medium runners who are thinking about a 2-stop will presumably have already pitted. Uzi's interval has gone wrong. There goes Martin into the pits then. Slams on the brakes. Nick Gishen committing to a potential overcut, and Martin in the pits that little bit earlier, so perhaps that little frightener on the previous lap was enough to make him think it's time to switch. He's gone onto hard tyres. One stopping tonight then. Whether Nick will be able to see Martin's tyre choice is another question. I think you'll be able to ask the engineer, but it's a complicated button press procedure if you haven't got voice control working very well. And I don't think the voice control works well for anyone, frankly. But he's down into 9th place, so Nick will have to make a guess now about what Martin has done in terms of strategy. 0-2 closing on the back of Pantry Star, whose pace has reached a little bit of a limit on the hard tyre Pantry. He's doing very well though. The lead hard driver in P3 currently, net 4th, given the pit stop of Martin, who has come out in traffic, but it's his teammate, so that will help. Once he's passed his teammate, he's got a 4.8 second bit of fresh air, but he could really do with getting the DRS off his teammate and then going for it. Oreo says, what happened to Martin? Just pitted, Oreo. If you looked away for a second there, Martin just pitted, so no panic. Scheduled pit stop just ahead of the halfway distance to put the hard tyres on. Nick Gishen pits now, trying to counteract, as does 0-2. He also pits. Avalak goes through though and might be stretching those medium tyres for a potential soft run at the end on light fuel. Top Gun, another penalty for Top Gun. So where does Martin come out? He gets that DRS to pass his teammate. That worked out well for him, but it looks like Nick Gishen has got the nose ahead on the way out of the pit stop, but the VMAX is already hit by the Mercedes. They'll be side by side, but those new hard tyres on Nick's car will not brake properly for him. Will Top Gun get into the mix and really shake things up? Not quite, but that would have really been sweet for Martin if Top Gun had managed to get ahead. But Nick Gishen then has ended up losing about 3/10 in the undercut from Martin. You have to say, well played from Martin, defending the lead of the race there and anticipating the pit stop ahead. So that one's worked out pretty sweetly for Martin. Nick and Martin, neither of those two drivers are your kind of guaranteed alien level drivers who never make a mistake. To be as kind as possible, they do have a consistency weakness, both of them, that we've seen so far this season. So it's definitely not all done and dusted. But Martin and Nick in 6th and 7th, but net 1st and 2nd as Avalak pits now off the medium tyres. There was no real battling going on between the two drivers there, so I don't think that Avalak will be in contention for a leapfrog. He had a couple of seconds. He was already behind his teammate anyway. Pit stop as well for Arno off the medium tyres. He's gone for a one-stop hard tyre combination as well. Still waiting to see what everybody else does. Shakes has gone on to hards. I think Shakes has gone soft, medium, hard, and has chosen those hards. I guess once all the field are on hards or mediums, you're probably fairly safe. It's when everybody, when people start to mix it up and do a double medium soft or something, that will cause the shake up of the order and cause you to focus on the hards being a bad tyre. But if everyone's on the hards, well, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, 0-2 is the closest guide to someone else on the track, as Martin has managed to get those tyres up to temperature a lot quicker, having been on them an extra lap there. What's going on with Hashim and Umair? Why is Umair slipping back? Hashim shouldn't have been passing at that point, I don't think. So that was a little bit of concern. I didn't quite see what was happening. 0-2 now on those new hard tyres. 1 lap younger, 1 lap older, which is better for the temperature profile. He's forced into a move here down into turn 12. Could this be the first successful move into the stadium? Yes, indeed. Good overtake from Zero. Positions the car with intent. No half measures. Fully committed. And he gains the place. Now, whether Chums was feeling like it wasn't worth battling that too hard because he'll get the DRS on the next one is another question. Umair pits off the hard tyre. It's going to run about half distance then on the medium. Should be fine with the car being lighter on fuel than the drivers who stopped off the medium. Look to Umair to be fairly quick here. Let's see what his current job looks like then. Gap to leader for Umair. Pantry and the 8 seconds that Hashim has can probably be disregarded. So Umair has about 30 seconds then to the actual net leader at this stage of the race. He's on the faster tyre, but a lot still to do to rescue this one. Leader of the championship at the moment. If Martin does secure the win, he'll take a big leap forwards in the points. He was only 9 behind Umair. We could end up with something very, very close in points in the standings coming up to our Jeddah race next week, Saudi Arabia. So things just a little bit quiet at the moment. Well, I was going to say things a little bit quiet, but Brad has managed to total the car on the way out of the S's. That is a full course yellow. Is that going to be? Yes, indeed. It's our first safety car of the evening on exactly the halfway point. Anybody currently on their starting tyres will get a nice cheap pit stop. Top Gun and Chums into the pits they go. Well, certainly Chums goes. Bunti's might decide as well. He's already a lap down, but he might be able to get a cheap pit stop here and catch back up to the field. It looks like, I think, Top Gun would have just passed the pit lane and didn't have the option of pitting. What will the drivers do? I'm assuming everyone will be on mediums who have the opportunity to. Pantry Star and Hashim in the absolute pound seats at the moment, though looking great in first and second with cheap pit stops to come. A bit of a shake-up to the order. Is this where Pantry Star's race really properly comes alive, I wonder? They're all having to drive to a delta similar to a VSC, so they can't really close that gap up and defend against the cheap pit stops. I think Pantry and Hashim will drop down, but they'll be in a similar place to Umair on the new medium tyres. So how long will a pit stop take, I wonder, for the drivers here? Is that Hashim just ahead of Martin? So they are closing up to one another, and Martin has to absolutely maximise this delta now as much as possible without risking a penalty. You can see him just dialing down the speed. Pantry in the pits, so is Hashim. Martin back in the lead of the race, and he will go and catch the safety car that's waiting on the exit of turn 3. Pantry Star comes out of the pits there, and will stay ahead of the Ferrari, who streaks past him before. Was that before the SC line? I don't think so. I think the Ferrari had to slow. 0-2 stuck now behind Pantry Star, and Pantry on the medium tyres will resume in 4th place. Very healthy place for him. Martin, Nick, Avalak in front of him. 0-2 directly behind with Arno, both on hard tyres, so Pantry probably not going to be defending too hard, but he's going to be able to attack without too much focus on the mirrors. And then we've got Hashim and just ahead of Umair, Top Gun, Chums and Uzi now in P11, just on fresh mediums as well. Shakes is in for mediums, as you would expect at the back of the grid, and put whatever he likes on. And I would have thought Boonies will follow suit as well in the next chance round. But we'll have a little bit of time under the safety car. That's enough time for you guys to like the video tonight, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you wish, you can follow me on Twitter at WebORed5, where you'll see every time I go live, regardless of the league. So no updates from the driver chat. We've only lost the one driver, Brad. I'll wait to see what Brad has to say about what went down. He might join the stream. He might be off screaming into a pillow or something. I'd rather that he did that first before any any typing away. It looks like it was an unforced error, potentially on his own, but time will tell. Lap 21 then under the safety car here for the second lap. Top Gun's pitted. He decided that the medium is the better tyre to be on, and I do think that the top drivers are going to be vulnerable here, because that leaves Pantry Star in P4 now, well, as he was in fact, and he's got a very, very good place on those tyres. Now, will that pace? Oh, have we got a safety car glitch? Have we got a problem? Looks like some confusion on the grid order. Let's hope no one gets themselves disqualified as a result. Avalak's picked up a penalty. What's that for? That's a 3-second penalty, so nothing too dramatic, as everyone's getting a little bit dramatic under the safety car issue. We might get penalties as a result of this. Hashim in P7 has 6 seconds of penalty, so does Top Gun in P11. Shakes and Jacques on 3 seconds of penalty each. It's not quite as many penalties as I was expecting this stage of the race. Fastest lap currently sits with your leader Martin on a 19.326. But the cars will get lighter and faster, and the track will get better on later on as well. What is going on then with this car? I think that was Pantry Star letting the Red Bull through. This is getting very confusing for the drivers as they're slamming on the brakes. It'd be good not to directly overlap with another driver, because yeah, it is treacherous, flirting with race-ending penalties for the drivers here, because of the clumsy game mechanics under the safety car. Several leagues I know have actually turned off the safety car. They're so fed up of it. Let's see. So the lights stay on the safety car. We will go round again unless there's a super late call. No. Nick Gishin and Avalak Martin all on the hard tyres, trying to get enough heat in those tyres. Avalak dropping back slightly, I guess for safety, but he needs to be within 10 car lengths of the car in front. I think he's a little bit outside of that 10 car lengths. Depends what the delta is telling him to do. So how easily will the drivers in the top three manage to hold on to these tyres and their advantage on track position, while the mediums are very, very nice indeed. The drivers will almost be scrubbed mediums, won't they? What do you think? What will be our finishing race order? Can Pantry Star get himself certainly up to the podium, if not challenging for the win? We have got 14 racing laps to go. Hopefully there'll be green flag laps. 14 drivers remain of the 15 that started. Let's have a quick check on who gained. 02 gained 5 from his start place. Chums consistently as well, gaining 5 from his start place. But Umair down 4 after being tagged in the back. I think from Brad. Early doors, or was it Shakes? Certainly in Alpha Tauri. Puna says Umair definitely fastest lap and maybe P3 from P8. That's a bold prediction. I like it. So let's see how Umair gets on. He's P8 now, championship leader, remember. Are the lights finally out on the safety car? I believe they are, and we're about to get racing. The front three, they're certainly going to have a challenge here, defending from fresh medium tyre shod Pantry Star. I will maybe stay with Pantry Star on the camera, and we're going to get away then from the final corner. And it looks like Martin taking his time. He's going to have Nick right with him, as Pantry Star was a little bit outfoxed there. Will Nick actually be challenging for the lead? He tries to tuck in for another bout of slipstream. They've already done this dance once before, as Nick tries to get the nose ahead. In fact, he has got the nose ahead, takes the lead off the restart. Cracking restart from Nick, and he holds the inside line. A penalty for 02 on the way through. I'm not quite sure what went down there, but they still side by side with the Ferrari engined Alfa Romeo as well. Looks like Arno's got the upper hand on the inside line going into the next corner, but faster round the outside goes 02, holding on beautifully and just about getting the right line through turn 6, and away he goes. 02 hanging on to 5th place, but that was not easy for him at all. 02 on the hard tyres. It looked like it was hard tyre runners fighting each other rather than anything else, but now Pantry Star's tyre advantage really coming to the fore, as the hard tyres are slow to warm up and the mediums are pretty quick to go racing through those S's. Perhaps got slightly too close to Avalak that time. Avalak trying to get through the stadium now. Everyone should have roughly maximum amounts of ERS as well at this stage, but now Pantry Star really closing in. Looks like Martin with the top speed possible advantage he may have here on Nick. No DRS yet. Here comes Pantry Star to the inside. He will have better brakes on the way into turn 1, but he can't quite get the job done going in. Wasn't quite brave enough to have a go. Maybe that's not brave, not a lack of bravery, but a strong amount of intelligence to not really go for a 50-50 move. Looks like Chums tumbling down the order, sadly, dropping down. I know there are fans in the live chat of Chums, unfortunately dropping back at the moment. Still plenty of racing left to go though to keep the fight on. It's Nick Gishin in the lead from Martin. Temporarily there, it was by 1/10 of a second. Martin gets very close on the way into turn 7. Then the gap will concertina back out again as they all get on the power slightly ahead of each other. But the top two starting to get away once again. It looks like Pantry Star not really able to live with Avalak's pace at this stage either. Maybe just treating those tyres fairly carefully and timing his run. He has closed up on the way into turn 12 quite considerably. So away then. DRS now enabled for the drivers, but that's too late a call for us to have it this time down the first two straights of the track. Lap 25 of 36, 11 to go plus the one that they're on, as Chums gets past Top Gun, Hashim, and a three-way battle going into turn one. The McLaren of Umer just about boxing everybody into position. Looks like Uzi might get a leg up here as well, as he closes in on the back of Hashim. Hashim does not have DRS, no one DRS down into here. Umer up to P6, and that prediction from Puna is looking good, as Umer climbs up from 8th to 6th in 2 laps, and still on those medium tyres. It's got 0-2, just 1.5 seconds ahead. Pantry Star still relatively close, not quite in striking distance, you have to say. You still need to be within about 4 tenths on the way out of the final corner if you're going to make it stick. This is the run for the drivers down into turn 12. Looks like Jacques, Shakes, Chums, Top Gun, all pretty far away, you have to say, from the rest of the field. Nick Gishen lording it over Martin at the moment, getting outside of that DRS zone as well. So the restart from Nick was electric, as Pantry Star now very much in range here. The Red Bull of Avalac uses the middle of the track, doesn't commit either side, but he doesn't, there's nothing much he can do, as Pantry Star gets the DRS overlap, gets through very comfortably, and up to P3 for Pantry Star on the medium tyres, and the front two haven't really got away sufficiently to breathe easily now for the remaining 10 laps of this race. Looks like it's going to be Pantry Star has got some pace, and he's starting to eke away at the lead of Martin and Nick at this stage of proceedings. We've got Hashim still all over the back of Arno. Can't quite get that that fix done. Trying to get into now the S's. Very nice wheel fairing effects, I have to say, as you see the Alfa Romeo and the McLarens with their wheel fairings looking very cool, the way they spin one way then the other as the speed increases. It's a nice little visual trick that they've pulled off very neatly. Here comes Umer then. He is well within range and gets away from that corner so well on the better tyre. He's got the DRS, so in fact has 0-2, but Umer doesn't really need that advantage, and Umer up to P5 then, and has gained 3 places in those 3 laps since the restart. Pantry Star has pounced on Martin, potentially a problem, because they weren't really close enough then to have a change of position. Martin slipping back then to P3, and it's not going well for Martin. Now what about Umer in P5? He's climbing towards the back of Avalac. There are penalties on the car though, penalties on the car of 3 seconds, so it may be that getting past Avalac is the best he can do if the top 3 remain without penalty. But Pantry Star climbs to 2nd place. Tremendous work from the Haas driver, who has shown great pace, especially in Q2 today, but getting away now from Martin. I think that was more likely a combination of a Martin error and a Pantry Star pace that secured that one for him though. Martin half a second behind Pantry Star on the worst tyre. Pantry Star just getting that grip down much easier on the way out. Looks like more likely we will see another overtake for Umer. It's back behind Avalac now. Avalac using the middle of the road. Umer choosing the outside, would like to break the car in the better, grippier side, and smoothly does it. Avalac put up a very nice defence there, but Umer just had a car's width on the outside and got the job done. And he's up to P4, but remember that penalty on the car. It's not all over for Umer in terms of his grab for the podium, but he's going to have to rely on other cars collecting penalties, and that's not a very comfortable place to be. Avalac now looking in his mirrors as well, because after Umer has passed him, 0-2 Cool has managed to close up very closely as well. He's on the same tyre though, those hard tyres, not a lot of fun. Chums and Jacques, as Arno slips back behind both of them. Unfortunately, Arno has lost his front wing. How do you lose your front wing in that situation? And we go for another safety car, sadly. That will be a front wing, I think, on the track, on the racetrack. I think that's the problem. Let's ride with Shakes and see if we can see any debris. But there we go, another safety car. That will be soft tyres all day long for the drivers. Let's check on Nick. What is he going to do? He stays out. So does Pantry Star. But Martin decides to come in and follow the rest of the field now. Someone hit the bollard on the way in. I think that was Zero or Avalak hit the bollard. And now that the first driver's decided to pit, everyone's going to follow. Chums in two minds, is he? Oh, that for me, that's a mistake from Chums. That's a pit stop all day long to get the soft tyres on now as everybody else follows in. Chums goes for track position over the faster tyre. Pantry will be happy with the tyres he's on. I think Hashim has climbed up to third place. Really amazing stuff there, but then everyone else will be putting those soft tyres. Now, why has Umair gone for a second set of mediums? I'm surprised so many drivers have done that. These tyres will easily, softs will easily go to the end, unless you've burnt through them all through qualifying, I guess. But that is a bit of a confusion. Umair slips back down to 6th then. On fresh tyres, he's got Martin in front of him, so a fast car in front. They could end up cancelling each other out in terms of pace. So it looks like we're going to have a sprint finish to this one. Everybody, I hope all your fingers are crossed for a lack of glitches kicking me out again. Unfortunately, we had a driver had to join through qualifying, and that usually is what happens to me. I get kicked as a result. I am connecting in from the UK, as you can probably imagine. So it may be that it chooses mine as the most distant or worst connection to the South African server. I do everything I can at my end. Unfortunately, it's just I guess an occupational hazard. So Nick, Pantry both stayed out, holding onto their track position, but everybody behind, with the exception of Hashim and Chums, stopped for new tyres. Jacques as well, who's now up to P7. But I think those soft tyres are going to be quick at the end. 02, Uzi, Arno, Avalak, Shakes, all on soft tyres. Avalak back in the pits again, or is he pitted now for the first time? That's weird. Let's check on the stops made. That is Avalak on a 3-stopper. Shakes is on a 4-stopper, and he's in 13th at the moment. It's not really working out well for Shakes. So 1 or 2 lap old mediums will perform a lot better than the ones on the top 3 and the 7th place drivers. Could still see a lot of passes before the end of this race. It's lap 30 now. The tail runner Boonties is a lap down, I believe, and a long way back from the safety car. This could mean that we end up with an extra lap under the safety car. Let's hope not, because we'd love to see 6 racing laps to finish this race out. So let's have your final standings predictions, at least for the podium. Well, you can predict anyone you like, frankly. The lights are staying on, unfortunately, so we will go around again. So it would be good time to get those predictions in. Reassure me you're all still watching and all still cheering on. If there are any neutrals watching along, tell me if you found a new favourite to enjoy. Maybe Nick, Martin, Jacques slipping down the order. I think he's pitting again. He is, as is Top Gun. So choosing different tyres to be on. So Jacques has decided that those older mediums are not going to be to his taste. He's gone on to soft tyres, new softs. Everyone on softs now are on fairly new softs, unless they ran them in qualifying, but will comfortably reach the end of the race. Have the guys who stopped for fresh mediums made a tactical error, Martin and Umair? I think they've got enough pace in hand over the rest of the field. I don't think they're going to fall foul of them. Hashim with a penalty, remember, on the car. So we've got, what? Hard tyres on Nick, mediums down to Umer, then softs with Bunyi is the last one on there. But Hashim has picked up 12 seconds of penalties. That kind of rings a bell. I think he might have done that before with us. I think he might have been playing fairly loose and fast with the track limits there. That's a total of what, 36 warnings for track limits I think he's picked up. So that's unless he had a more major accident during the safety car previously, which was very, very messy, that safety car. Inconsistent speed for everybody. But they will restart this one. Nick and Pantry on the oldest tyres, everybody else on younger tyres. What will this restart hold for us? We know Nick was quick away from the previous restart, relative at least to Martin, who's currently lying in 5th, some distance away. Has Nick managed to gap the field early enough, or is he? No, he's condensing everybody once again. He might have had a window there, and he goes now, I believe. Lights the touch paper and away, and Nick has over-egged it, and he's turned the car round. Whoa, what a massive development on the restart. He had such a successful previous restart, but those hard tyres look cold, and now it's Chums splitting the difference, splitting the middle between the McLaren of Umer on the outside, who's had a monster restart on 3rd place, goes to sweep round the outside and completes the move. Does he? Yes, just snakes the car ahead. Well, look, round comes Martin on the inside, makes contact with Chums and ruins both of their races. We've got a massive pile-up. What a crazy, chaotic pile-up that has left